In today's video, I'm on board Celebrity Solstice in a suite with a butler for a 7-day Mexican Riviera cruise. I'll show you some of the best features of this ship and tell you how Celebrity compares to other cruise lines I've sailed with. I'll show you some gorgeous aerial video that I shot with my drone and tell you about the many things I loved about this ship as well as a few things that I didn't love. Settle into a comfy chair and come along with me for a cruise on Celebrity Solstice. I'm back at home now after my week cruising out of the port of Los Angeles down to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, where even in January the weather was sunny and warm. Not so much here where I live in Washington. It was 8 degrees out in my yard when I woke up this morning. So that's one of the reasons that I love to cruise at this time of the year. And I had been on 58 previous cruises prior to this one with most of the major cruise lines: Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Princess, Viking, MSC, as well as some river cruises with American Cruise Lines. But this was my very first cruise with Celebrity, and I'm looking forward to telling you all about how it compared to the other cruise lines. Before I get into all the details, let me just start by summarizing the big picture that I came away with. Celebrity is more of a luxury cruise line than lines like Carnival and Royal Caribbean. There was a much more refined and upscale atmosphere on board, especially if you stay in a suite like I did. The crew was extremely friendly to guests, and it's not that way on some other cruise lines. It reminded me a lot of the cruises I've done with Viking, crew members that were really friendly, and I could tell were really happy, who seemed to be enjoying their work. They provided a much higher level of customer service on Celebrity than I've seen on most other cruise lines. The passenger mix on our cruise was completely different than cruises I've done on the big lines like Carnival and Royal Caribbean. I don't know if all Celebrity cruises are this way, but the one we were on had essentially no children aboard, and almost all the passengers looked like they were about my age or older. It was mostly North American passengers, Americans and Canadians, so everything was tailored to what that type of passenger likes. Onboard activities were more refined and upscale than most of the other cruise lines I've sailed with. For example, the ship had a glass-blowing studio where they'll teach you how to create your own piece of art. And they'll even safely wrap it up so you can get it home without breaking. There is also an actual real lawn up on one of the top decks. Yes, that is real grass you see there. I've never seen that on a cruise ship before. You can practice your golf game on the lawn. I also watched one of the NFL playoff games up on the big screen at the lawn area. One of the things I truly loved about Celebrity Solstice was that it offers one of the best buffets I've ever seen on any of my cruises. They offered so many different food items in the buffet that it was always easy for me to find something good to eat. And I'm a really picky eater and have trouble on some cruises finding the kind of food that I like. For example, the buffet on Carnival has just gotten worse and worse over the years. I like a lot of the specialty restaurants on Carnival, but their buffet is just not to my liking anymore. But on Celebrity Solstice, I was one happy camper with so many different food items to choose from in the buffet. Let me just give you one example. I noticed that one day at lunch in the buffet, in addition to a large number of different entrees, they offered 4 different types of potatoes: baked potatoes, French fries, mashed potatoes, and some kind of oven-roasted cubed potato. There have been a lot of cutbacks on cruise ships in recent years. It's been a long time since I saw a buffet that offered 4 different types of potatoes. Now, my wife has food allergies. She has to eat both gluten-free and dairy-free. That has been a real challenge for her on a lot of our previous cruises, but it was no problem at all on Celebrity. They were totally able to accommodate her, both in the upscale restaurants, such as Lumine, the most exclusive restaurant on the ship, and in the steakhouse. but also to a slightly lesser extent in the buffet. And our butler was very accommodating too, bringing healthy snacks to our cabin to fit within my wife's dietary restrictions, as well as some unhealthy snacks for me, the junk food aficionado. Also, if North American style food is not your thing, I noticed that the buffet on Celebrity Solstice offered quite a few international foods for people that prefer things like Indian food, Asian food, or Italian food. I noticed at the breakfast buffet that they even offered a few English-style items that folks from the UK would probably enjoy better than an American breakfast. So the buffet on Celebrity Solstice was a big hit with me. I really enjoy a good buffet on a cruise ship, and it seems like it's getting harder and harder to find one with cruise lines making so many cutbacks in recent years. I do have to mention that Celebrity is not immune to the cutbacks. Effective the beginning of this year, 2023, they've severely cut back the dinner buffet. They do still offer a huge breakfast buffet and lunch buffet, but at dinner, it's a much smaller buffet with less choices. If they had to cut back one of the 3 buffet meals to save money, I'm glad it was dinner, because there are so many other good restaurants for dinner on Celebrity Solstice. Now, I want to ask you for help for a minute. If you know a cruise ship that here in 2023 still offers a really big buffet with a huge variety of selections to choose from, leave a comment and tell me about it. Don't tell me about great buffets on cruises you did years ago, because things may have changed. But if you saw a world-class buffet on a cruise ship here in 2023, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. If you like to spend time in or next to the pool when you're cruising, you'd love Celebrity Solstice. There are 2 really nice outdoor swimming pools, and I love that they kept the water heated to 87 degrees, so it's very pleasant in the pools. There are 4 different hot tubs next to the outdoor pools. The water in the hot tubs was heated to 102 degrees. And then there's also an indoor pool that you can use during those times when the weather outside isn't cooperating. They call the indoor pool area the solarium. The whole area is fully enclosed in glass with heating or air conditioning as needed. And it's always nice and warm and relaxing in the solarium, no matter how bad the weather outside might be. On a lot of cruise ships, it's just not pleasant to use the pool when the ship is in motion. There's too much wind. And you don't want to use an outdoor pool when it's raining or cool outside. But on Celebrity Solstice, the solarium was like an oasis. And I loved that they kept the water in the pool heated to 90 degrees. It was really delightful. By the way, if you're wondering how I know the exact water temperatures of the pools and hot tubs, I actually bring a pool thermometer with me when I'm making a video about cruise ships. I don't like to just say that the water was cold or the water was warm. That's very subjective. I like to be able to give you a precise temperature. Another thing that was really nice about the pool areas on Celebrity Solstice was that the whole vibe out by the pools was designed to appeal to people my age. So inside the solarium, it was a very relaxing, refined, and upscale atmosphere. I don't think there was any music playing at all in the solarium, or if there was, it must have been really soft, relaxing music. The vibe in the solarium is quiet, serene, relaxing. At the outdoor pools, they do try to create a fun atmosphere, but it's more of an upscale kind of fun, something appropriate for people my age, rather than the super loud kind of fun that Carnival has by their main pools. Out at the pool area, Carnival is trying to create an atmosphere that 20-year-olds would find fun. Celebrity is trying to create an atmosphere that people my age would find fun. When I cruise with Carnival, I don't know half the songs that they play out at the pool. On Celebrity Solstice, I think I probably knew 95% of them. Everything is tailored for people my age. I really liked that. Another thing that kept the vibe at the pools much more serene than on other cruise lines is that Celebrity did not put a big outdoor video screen by the pool. On Celebrity Solstice, the big outdoor video screen is up at the lawn area, not at the pool. If you're thinking of booking a cruise with Celebrity or with any of the cruise lines, I want to suggest that you use the services of my travel agent, Caitlin Gallagher. I used to just book my cruises directly with the cruise line, but as I became a more experienced cruiser, I came to realize how much better off I was to book through a travel agent. And it's not about price. That cruise is going to cost you pretty much the same no matter how you book it. The cruise lines have total control of the pricing, but a travel agent is there to answer all your questions for you and to give you good advice so you don't do anything stupid like booking a balcony cabin downwind from the smoking area. Now, I especially like Caitlin because she's an American with no accent, so I have absolutely no problem communicating with her. And as my agent, she gets to be the one stuck on hold with the cruise line, not me, when there's something like a price drop before final payment that needs to be worked out with the cruise line. So give Caitlin a call or send her an email when you're ready to book your next cruise. We stayed in the least expensive type of suite that they offer on this class of Celebrity ship. It's known as a Sky Suite, Category S2. And I think it's a really good value because it's the least expensive way to get all the perks of staying in a suite on Celebrity without paying the big bucks for a huge over-the-top suite, which my wife and I don't really need and certainly don't want to pay for. But you still get all the perks that the folks in the most expensive suites get, like a butler, access to Luminae, the most exclusive restaurant on the ship, and things like the premium drink package, premium Wi-Fi, and the mandatory gratuities are all included in the cruise fare. And Celebrity gives suite guests such a generous amount of onboard credit that our shore excursions and gift shop purchases and even some earrings that my wife bought on board were all covered without me having to shell out any extra money beyond the cruise fare. Staying in a suite on Celebrity reminded me a lot of previous cruises I've done in the Haven on Norwegian Cruise Line, but it was quite a bit less expensive than the Haven on Norwegian. The cruise fare for this 7-day cruise in a suite on Celebrity Solstice was $4,157. You will not find a 7-day cruise in the Haven for that low of a price. Now, there were taxes, fees, and port charges of $158, bringing the total cost of this cruise to $4,315. But keep in mind that this included the premium beverage package, which usually would cost $588 per person, so that would be $1,176 per couple. It also included the gratuities of $133 per person, or $266 per couple. And it included 2 Wi-Fi internet packages, one for me and one for my wife, which would have cost $398 per couple. So with all that stuff being included, it's equivalent to paying $2,475 for the cruise and then paying extra for all those things that we would have bought anyway. And they gave us an incredible onboard credit of $680 to use for shore excursions and other onboard spending, making the true effective cost of the cruise in a suite with a butler just $1,795. That is a genuine bargain for a suite on an upscale line like Celebrity. Now, I should point out that the cost of the cruise was that low because cruise fares are all about supply and demand. We cruised the week of January 21st. That's a time of the year when the demand for cruises is about as low as it's ever going to get. Most people like to use their vacation time during Christmas and New Year's or during the summer months, but for retired people like me and my wife and people like us that live in places that get cold winter weather, January is a great time to cruise, and the prices are about as low as they ever get. That's because for whatever reason, there just wasn't a lot of demand for this particular cruise on this particular week. Most cruise ships sail pretty close to their full capacity most of the time, but this ship was as far from full as I've ever seen on a ship in the 59 cruises I've been on. When there are 2 people in every cabin, Celebrity Solstice carries 2,852 passengers. Now, some cabins do accommodate more than just 2 passengers, so at maximum capacity, Celebrity Solstice can carry as many as 3,300 passengers. But during the week we were aboard, there were just 838 passengers aboard. That's 29% of double occupancy capacity. It was so wonderful to be aboard such an uncrowded ship. I've never experienced anything like it. The crew literally outnumbered the passengers, 1,179 crew members to serve the 838 passengers. Now, of course, don't expect Celebrity Solstice to be that empty if you sail on her. They told me that this doesn't happen very often. January is when it does tend to occur the few times it happens. If you see an unusually low price for a certain sailing compared to what cruises on that ship usually go for, that's your best clue that the cruise line is having trouble filling the ship to capacity. I mentioned that we were in the least expensive type of suite that they offer on this ship, a sky suite. I was really impressed with it. I wish all cruise ship cabins were like this. It was much wider than a normal cruise ship cabin. Look at how far it is between the foot of the bed and that wall on the right. That's a much roomier cabin than a lot of the ones I've sailed in. There was also a ton of storage in this suite. Very generous, his and hers closets, of course, but also 5 drawers for storing things in the desk, and then also a chest of drawers under the TV with 5 more large drawers, as well as a refrigerator. On the first day of the cruise, the butler checked with me to see what kind of things we wanted stocked in the fridge, and all of that comes at no additional charge. They're not out to nickel and dime you on Celebrity. If you use the bottled water that they leave on the desk or drink a beer or a Coca-Cola from the fridge, it doesn't end up as an extra charge on your bill. It's all included. And I don't know if it's coming across in all these video clips of the suite, but it had a really great vibe. I loved the colors that they used in decorating the cabin. The whole vibe of the suite was upscale, dignified, and extremely comfortable. I really liked the bathroom in our suite, and I loved taking a shower every day because there was a really nice rainfall shower head. But I should warn you about one thing. Now, I'm 5'10", and there's not a lot of clearance between me and this shower head, so if you're a tall person, you might have some trouble here. This was not just a shower in our bathroom, it was a shower-bathtub combination. When this ship does Alaska cruises, I bet it's really great to have that bathtub right there in your suite. If you're enjoying this video so far, and there's still a lot more to come, so stick around, I want to just ask that you consider becoming one of my patrons. If you think that I'm doing a good job, that I'm a YouTuber you'd like to see succeed and continue, Patreon is the way to thank me, to help me keep going. I spend a lot of money on making these videos, and the generosity of my patrons is really important if I'm going to keep doing this. Now, in return, I offer perks to the folks in the upper tiers of my patrons, such as early access to my videos before they go public on YouTube. And for my top patrons, a personal video greeting from me up to once a year for your birthday or whenever you'd like it. Head over to patreon.com/JimZim to find out more. The other thing I really liked about our Sky Suite is that the Sky Suites are located on Deck 12. That's the same deck as the outdoor pools, the solarium, and the spa. So it's just a quick walk down the hallway to get to a hot tub, for example. And it's an easy walk up one set of stairs to get to the buffet. It's also just a short walk down the hall to get to the elevators, which can get you to all the other places on the ship you'd want to go to. So I thought overall it was a great cabin location. But there is just a little bit of a downside that I should mention. Because the Sky Suites are located directly below the buffet, we did hear some noise from up above. Now, we never really heard anything during the day, but just about every morning, at around 4:30 or 5 in the morning, we could hear rolling carts going along the floor of the buffet restaurant. I think what they were doing was taking clean dishes from the dishwashing area, placing them on these rolling carts, and then rolling the carts across the floor of the restaurant. It really wasn't a problem for me. At that hour of the morning, I'm in kind of a half sleep. Yeah, I heard the noise through the ceiling of the carts rolling by, but it really didn't bother me since I was already kind of half awake anyway. The other problem regarding the Sky Suites is apparent when you step out onto the balcony. There's this huge overhang from the deck above. Now, the good news about that is that it protects your balcony from any rain that might fall during the cruise. And if you're on a warm weather itinerary like the Mexican Riviera, that overhang protects you from getting a sunburn when you're out on your balcony. But I imagine it's a bit of a problem when the ship visits Alaska because it's going to make it impossible to look up and see the mountains. But on our cruise in the Mexican Riviera, it wasn't a problem. We were always looking down to the water to see dolphins and seals and other marine life. And since now I've opened Pandora's box of things that were less than perfect about our cruise, I think it's time to mention a few of the other negatives. This ship was put into service back in 2008, so it's about 15 years old now, and as is typical for cruise ships built back in those days, there are no electrical outlets or USB charging ports on either side of the bed, only at the desk. So if you need a CPAP machine or any kind of electronic device at the bed, be sure to bring an extension cord with you. In the bathroom of our suite, I did think it was weird that the towel racks were located inside the shower. I've seen that done in a few hotels too. I am not a fan. It doesn't make any sense to me to put the towel racks inside the shower where there's a chance that the towels might get splashed. And then there is a much better, drier location just to the right of that where they could have put the towel racks, and I wish they had. Now, I mentioned that the ship is about 15 years old now. They've kept it in pretty good shape, really. All the most important places, the cabins, the restaurants, the bars, the entertainment venues, the shops, it seemed like they had all been well maintained over the years. But I was surprised at a few things that Celebrity had let deteriorate a bit. In the solarium, there's an interesting little water feature right here. Here's a photo of what it used to look like when it was functioning. I never saw it operating during our entire cruise. It looks like maybe it broke down and Celebrity decided not to fix it. Same thing out by the main pool area. They used to have a fun little fountain out here. This is a picture of it when it was in operation years ago. But again, I never saw it operating during our entire cruise. Also, if you look at the aerial shots I got of the ship with my drone, or this shot I got from a water taxi in Cabo San Lucas, let's zoom in on the bow of the ship. Look at all that chipped paint. I'm surprised that they just let it stay that way. Most cruise lines take a little more pride in maintaining the whole paint job than that. Also, the lawn up on the top deck of Celebrity Solstice, that grass has seen better days. I'm a little surprised that they haven't put some new sod in there rather than trying to nurse the existing lawn back to health. It just gets too much foot traffic, I think. And the big video screen up by the lawn, the picture quality was horrible. And the one other little gripe I had with Celebrity Solstice, which was surprising since they pride themselves in offering an elevated quality of food, they really don't know how to make a good burger. Carnival has set the bar really high with Guy's Burger Joint. Celebrity burgers are just not even close to being in that league. But please don't misinterpret the few little negatives I've pointed out. I really was impressed with a lot of things on my first Celebrity cruise, and I definitely see why so many people choose Celebrity over and over again. There were some really nice dining options. If you like a refined, upscale dining experience, book a suite so you get access to the Lumine restaurant, which is exclusively for suite guests. The presentation and the level of service there was at a very high level. Now, my tastes in food are not at all refined. I'm a picky eater who would be happier going out to pizza than a gourmet meal. So what really impressed me the most was that world-class breakfast and lunch buffet on Celebrity Solstice. But the best meal I had during the entire cruise was actually at the Tuscan Grill, the Italian steakhouse on Celebrity Solstice. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end of this somewhat lengthy video. If you enjoyed it, there are a couple of things you could do that would help me. Click the thumbs up button to let YouTube know that this is a good video that they should recommend to other people. Leave a comment down below with your feedback. I read 100% of the comments that people leave on my videos. And if you really appreciate what I'm doing here on YouTube and you want to help support the effort and make sure that I continue making videos like this, consider becoming one of my patrons. Head over to patreon.com/JimZim to find out more. I'm putting links up on the screen to a couple of my other cruise ship videos that I think you might enjoy. These are videos about other upscale cruises that I've been on. Click on one that looks interesting to you. I'm Jim Zim. Thanks for watching.